Hey everyone, it's Blaine with Seven Sons. It is a beautiful September day. I'm out here in the cattle pasture and I thought I'd show you something that, a grazing technique that we use this time of year sometimes. At Seven Sons, grazing cattle is as much of an art as it is a science. And one of the challenges we have this time of year is after some nice fall rains, these pastures, especially our alfalfa and high legume based pastures, become very rich. Lots of protein in the grasses, and the water content, moisture content is really high as well. So sometimes that can represent some challenges with animal performance and the general health of the animal. So we try to utilize something on our farm called adaptive grazing, where we're always changing our grazing techniques and how we're moving the cattle across the farm, changing our stocking rates and our density of the number of animals in the paddocks. So what we're doing today is something called swath grazing. We don't do this very often, but again, this time of year with high protein, high moisture in the grasses, what we're actually doing is we're mowing down some of the pasture in front of the cattle a day ahead of time, and then moving the cattle onto the pasture once that grass has had a chance to dry out a little bit. And so that's what you see behind me here is my brother Blake in the mowing tractor here, mowing a couple acres at a time before the cattle get moved onto this pasture. So let's take a closer look. This is a hay conditioner, and it comes along and cuts the forage and lays down in nice narrow swaths where then the cattle can come along and munch on it. So what we're mowing here today will not be grazed until tomorrow. So this grass and forage here will have a complete day to dry out a little bit, and we'll get the moisture content down in it, so the dry matter intake is higher for the cattle. And this is an excellent it's an excellent tool that grazers and producers can use to help the performance of their animals this time of year. Every season has its own unique challenges, and it's our job as a producer and farmer to work with nature, understand the seasons, and use the tools that we have for the advantage of the land and the livestock. Okay, so this is what Blake just mowed down. And Blake, what is the moisture content of this forage that you just mowed down here on the ground?
The moisture content of the forage you just mowed is probably going to be somewhere around 80%, 85%, depending on the rains and the time of year.
Okay.
But this is close to 80%.
Yeah, so that's pretty high, right?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
And so these are the swaths that you just mowed down yesterday. It's had a day to dry out and evaporate some of that moisture.
Yeah, this has had about 24 hours to dry.
Okay, and so what would be the moisture content of this, or the dry matter percentage?
Moisture content's going to be closer to 60%, 50%.
Okay.
So it can move that much in one day.
Right.
So.
And is that kind of what you're shooting for?
Yeah, we're looking to get the moisture content lower, more dry matter intake.
Right.
So.
Right. Okay. So here we have the cattle lined up. We're moving fences every day. We don't want to give them access to the entire area that we've swathed, or else what? They'll trample it and
yeah, we'll have more waste.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to get utilization out of it. So the more times we move them, the less amount we give them. The more times we move them, the higher utilization we have.
All right. Okay. Well, show us how you're going to move them forward to the next swath.
Okay. Cows are creatures of habit. They know when it's time to move. We are moving these about 4 to 5 times a day. It's about noon now, and this will already be the 3rd move for the day. So they're lined up waiting for me to move the wire here. So I'm going to give them one row, and then they'll line up and start eating it.
For a cow, this is about as convenient as it can get to graze here. So this is almost like spoon feeding these guys. As you can see, they're not they're not hungry, they're not starved, they're just happy and waiting to eat the next meal here. The cattle really love it when we do this swath grazing. Otherwise, when the moisture content is so high in the forage, the cattle will graze, their stomachs will be full, but again, with 80% moisture in the forage this time of year, they can eat and fill their stomachs, but 80% of it's moisture and water, so it doesn't allow them to be as content compared to letting this forage dry down a little bit. Now in the summer, moisture and protein is much lower, so this isn't a technique we will utilize a whole lot in the summer. But in the fall and sometimes in early spring, we'll do this, and we'll have happier critters. There you have it. That is swath grazing at Seven Sons, and those are some happy cows.